Hello and welcome once more. Yes, it is still ongoing. Episode 6 of Shamps and Quirky Property Odd Bods. A roundup of all the week's news with my friend Paul Champlina here and I for your weekend delectation. Is that the right word? Delight. Should we just say delight?
Delight, yes.
Yeah. So and another busy week for property, Paul, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's quite positive. I mean, the market's moving. We're come to our £200 bets. In due course, I'm sure you'll remind me of the nationwide figures.
You've raised it within the first 3 seconds of the podcast.
Well, normally it's you picking it up.
No, but what you're going to now say is, have you seen the nationwide numbers? Yeah.
Well, I hadn't seen the nationwide numbers, but you reminded me of them.
Okay, so let's get the laughing over with. So the nationwide numbers this week say that for the first time since 2012, the annual rate of increase for house prices across the UK is now negative. So annual house prices are now minus 0.1% versus last year. But as I said on Twitter many times in the last couple of days,
yes.
One swallow doth not a summer make.
Of course.
So
I agree.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Well, you've got a door opening in the background. Can you see Muttley, my dog, the property dog in the background?
The property dog, he's fast asleep. So it's true, you bore people to sleep, Russell.
No, do you know what? He's on furlough. That's
right. He's on furlough.
Yeah, furlough. Furlough. Do you get that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, stick. Well, I was going to say you should be on the stage sweeping it.
Sweeping it, yeah. Check back here every week for more dad jokes.
Yes, and more that bad dad dancing. I bet you're bad at dad dancing.
Not doing dad dancing. No chance. No chance. Okay. So yeah, nationwide. Fair enough. Who wants to kick off? Do you want me to kick off?
Go on, you kick off. I've got a couple of stories, but you kick off.
Yeah, so do you remember, can I cast you back to episode, whatever it was, probably only our second episode of this wonderful podcast thing of ours, and we talked about Robert Jenrick being, let's just say, the wrong side of a situation with my old friend Richard Desmond and this Westbury planning application.
Yeah, and loads of property. How many units was it?
1,500 now. Well, they got planning permission for 750, and Desmond's now trying to get 750. The long and short of it is, it was slated for refusal, as in the additional units, by Tower Hamlets Council. Richard Desmond then applied for what's called an appeal on the grounds of non-determination because Tower Hamlets took too long. The planning inspector then said, no, don't like it, too big, too tall, too ugly. That's not Richard Desmond, by the way. That's the development. God, we're full of jokes today, aren't we? Anyway, so it's then gone to Robert Jenrick, who happens to have sat next to Richard Desmond and his henchmen at a dinner, donating some money to the Conservatives, and lo and behold, the planning application goes and gets approved. Jenrick in hot water, you and I talked about it and kind of scratched our heads and said, why isn't this a massive story? And lo and behold, guess what's happened? 3-4 weeks down the line, it's a massive story. It's been on the front pages for, I think, the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's been everywhere.
So I think we should take some credit, mate, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. You did mention it, definitely. And what else? On breaking news, what else have you got?
So the Purplebricks advert is back on. You might have noticed that the Purplebricks advert has a distinctive Olympics flavour because they are sponsoring the Olympics, which might have been a bit of a faux pas given that the Olympics have been delayed by a year because of COVID. But undeterred, Purplebricks and their kind of depleting war chest, I think it's fair to say, in terms of the cash that they've got left, they have invested some more money in more adverts. So that annoying pretend estate agent in the suit that kind of gets in the way of a taekwondo bout, and then I think she's leering over an Olympic diver and all sorts. And I was going to ask you the question, actually. I think the adverts are very slick and well produced.
I saw the one was it the one with the taekwondo?
Yeah, but my question is, are they, if you cast your mind back 3 or 4 years to the original Purplebricks adverts under Michael and Kenny, where the brothers, although it wasn't the brothers, kind of stood there talking about estate agency and how it was broken and how they could do a better job for less money and so on. I thought that was really powerful and really accelerated the Purplebricks brand as a position. They've now gone very kind of vanilla, very generic, kind of, we're a household name now, so we don't really need to talk about value proposition. And I think that's a mistake because bearing in mind that their market share has shrunk. I mean, they've gone from 6,500 listings a month to 4,000 odd listings a month. They're a smaller business now, smaller market share, less listings. I think that they should go back to the kind of raw appeal of edginess of this is what we do and this is our proposition.
Well, they were disruptors, weren't they?
Yeah, and they've lost that now, and I think that's a mistake. But I think, look, dare I be controversial for a sec, Paul? I think this is the problem, and I have said this many times before. When you've got someone running a business in our sector that doesn't have sector experience, they don't understand the nuances of property. And I know us estate and letting agents and us landlords probably look like muppets from the outside looking in, but I think to misunderstand and to underestimate the sophistication actually of the property sector and all its various components and so on would be a big mistake, and I think Vic Darby is making that mistake. Okay.
And what about I read about Hart closing some branches?
Funny you should say that, Paul. Funny you should say that. Yes, well, look, I got a bit suspicious earlier on this week about not just Hart, but Countrywide and a few others, that even though the property market opened back up, 4 weeks ago, we've got a number of the big corporates that haven't opened all of their offices. They've opened some, but not all. And you have to kind of scratch your head and think, why is that? There were some statements made by both of those companies going back 5 weeks ago saying, well, it's about COVID and risk assessments and process and all this stuff. And I thought, hang on, 5 weeks on, this just doesn't happen. So I wrote a piece for Property Industry Eye, which was published yesterday. So we're shooting this on Friday, so on Thursday, the 10th of July. And I said, look, how long does it take, look, facetiously, and excuse my dry sense of humour, guys, if you don't get it, look, too bad, but I'm trying to be, I am tongue-in-cheek sometimes. I said, how long does it take to put a few bits of Perspex together with some blue tack and to fashion some masks out of Paul Smith's old socks? And that was the beginning of the piece. Lo and behold, where we end up with now, 24 hours later, is first of all a piece that I think Nigel Lewis broke actually yesterday afternoon, which was a response to my piece, which was, well, no, actually, Spicerhaart are expanding. We are going to we're going to roll out 250 employed individuals that will work within the Spicerhaart brand. And it's a kind of hybrid thing, but not really, and so on. And of course, that raised more questions than it answered, because you think, well, hang on, you haven't answered the question really as to what you're doing about those branches that are still closed. So Property Industry Eye then, literally an hour ago, just before we came on air, Nick Salmon has got a statement from Spicerhaart, saying that where Hart is concerned particularly, they will be closing, or rather not opening, up to 30 branches. So look, I hate to do the whole mic drop thing and say I told you so, but we've extracted the truth and the reality out of I'm pretty proud of, because my big motive here was not to kind of break a story as such, but was to think about the staff that are working at Spicerhaart.
Yeah, I mean that's what you've really got to think about. It's the staff and the potential job losses. And
who wants to be sitting there thinking you're going back to work in, let's say, July or August, and actually behind the scenes, your company is already plotting not to bring you back and not to reopen your branch. So I think Paul Smith and Spicerhaart owed it, and definitely do still owe it to their staff to be honest about whether they are coming back to work or not. And I'm just, I'm delighted to have provided the inspiration, shall we say, for Spicerhaart to have been honest this week at last.
So, I mean, the worrying thing is, Russell, is that every day you're seeing household names going into administration and massive job losses. So, as I said right at the beginning when we started doing these, these videos, is that really the last quarter of the year, there will be a real indication of what's going on, employment-wise. I mean, I think I saw the MD of Reed Recruitment. He reckoned that something like 5 million people could end up unemployed at 15% of the workforce. So it's going to be tough times ahead.
And I think it's hard to predict, but yeah.
It is hard to predict. It is very uncertain times. Let me tell you about my news stories just very quickly, Russell. The courts have reopened, or they are going to be reopened, dare I say, on the 24th of August. So many landlords have been worried. We have over 500 cases stuck in the court system at Landlord Action. Some landlords are going to have a year's rent arrears. Cases are on hold. A lot of tenant groups have been looking to try and extend up to the end of October. The government have now finally come out and said that the courts will reopen on the 24th of August. The worry is obviously the backlogs. I mean, this week I've done 3 or 4 webinars. I did one with the NRLA about possessions and keeping landlords updated. And the government aren't providing any support for landlords that have had those additional rent arrears. Yes, they're supporting tenants. So, yeah, that's going to be, we're going to have to wait and see. But at least there's some sort of certainty that the courts are going to be open. Of course, challenging because it's going to be virtual hearings.
Yeah, of course, which is, I don't know if that makes them more efficient. Will they be quicker? I mean, one would hope. Excuse Muttley, by the way, in the background. He decided.
No, I love Muttley. He's all right. He's been a good boy.
He nipped downstairs just to kind of check something out, and now he's back again. Look at him.
Right. Was he speaking to one of your PR clients? Was he doing a press release for you?
No, it would have taken a lot longer than that if he was. So, no disrespect to my PR clients. I love you.
I'm not saying you write them to the equivalent of Muttley the dog would write them. I'm sure they're a lot more sophisticated with lots of stats.
Yeah, no, indeed. So there's been some calls I've still noticed over the last week or two, Paul. You'll be better informed on this than me. With organisations like Shelter and others calling for an extension to the period of time during which landlords cannot evict tenants. I mean, it's got to stop at some point, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, look, it is going to stop. I mean, don't forget the notice periods are 3 months. I mean, we're serving loads of notices. Some, Section 8 notices are 14 days when there's non-payment of rent. They're moved to 3 months. Section 21s were 2 months. They're 3 months. So in all, it's going to take 9 to 12 months to evict a tenant. But what I've been saying throughout all of this, and we've done a joint campaign at Landlord Action with the NRLA about landlords that currently have cases stuck in the court system, especially antisocial tenants, and the lives they might make hell. So, yeah, that there's a bit of certainty now, finally. And also, another story I wanted to provoke was the London Borough Tower Hamlets. They have collected over £100,000 in fines for repayment orders against rogue landlords in that borough who have been renting out unsafe properties, charging extortionate fees and charging excessive fees when properties are unlicensed. So it's nice that the enforcement is working, but unfortunately it's very fragmented. And I've, obviously on my TV show, Nightmare Tenant Slum Landlords, they follow Harrow Council, and I followed them a day in the life of Harrow Council Environment Health Officer, and their backs against the wall. I mean, really underfunded and a lack of resource. So, at least there's some enforcement happening.
Where's the £100,000 go, Paul? So what would be lovely listening to this?
Well, it actually goes to the tenants. Some of it will go to the tenants. So it goes back in compensation. The good thing is, I sat on that original consultation when a few years ago about rogue landlord list and rogue agent list, and I came out with an idea: three bans and you're out, 3 strikes and you're out, and you should never rent a property again. They came out of banning orders. So the problem is, it's very work intensive, and cost wise, resource wise, to prosecute it's quite hard. But it's still a very small minority of, and I call them criminal landlords, not rogue landlords. So at least that there's some good work that's been done there.
But Paul, that said, just very quick, there's a lot of really good landlords that are out of pocket. Have you got any idea what the amount of money is, do you think, that's outstanding to landlords as we speak?
I think I read, I can't remember. I read it. It was like a silly figure. I mean, there's various different numbers of cases stuck in the court system. They have released 25,000. I mean, Arla said there were 60,000. I don't think it's much. I mean, it could be a build-up. But rent arrears-wise, I'm unsure, but it's millions and millions, believe you me.
With an average rent of whatever it is now, 960 quid a month, times the arrears, times 25 to 60,000. I mean, it's hundreds of millions of pounds.
Well, I can give an example. I mean, I was going to record. I mean, I did all my by the way, my series is coming out in the next month, but I did all the filming prior to COVID. And I had one landlord who was going to come on the show. She was owed £22,000 for a flat in Maida Vale. 2 days before the eviction for filming, she got the letter through. That was in beginning of April. So in August, it opens up. And then, of course, she's got to wait until the bailiff set down the eviction. So she's in for another 5, 6, 7, 8 months rent arrears on top of what she would have got.
It should be £50,000 plus. 50
well, yeah, I mean, landlords are a lot of landlords will be crippled. You will see some landlords exiting the marketplace, but then that offers, there will be investment opportunities for other landlords to buy as well. Because as I said in my bet with you, I believe the market will come down by May 2021.
Okay. So I nodded off for a sec there.
Okay, I thought it's a bit like Muttley in the background.
So talking about an exodus of landlords, talk to us about stuff that's foreign. What's your foreign?
I picked up this really good news story, actually, and Nigel did it on Landlord Zone. And any landlords out there, subscribe to Landlord Zone, breaking news every day, doesn't cost anything, really, really good information on our website, Landlord Zone. So there was a New Zealand landlord who posted photos of tenants' possessions when he was advertising the property. And he's been ordered to pay back $520 to Monica Cassell because she believed that her privacy had been interfered with, believe it or not, and she'd been harassed. And actually, the agents who are called Crocker's Property Management in New Zealand have been pulled to task.
Sorry,
actually,
what did you say they're called? You say they're called Frockers?
Crockers.
Oh, Crockers.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that was
it sounds like something else, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So it depends what those items were, Paul. Do we know what the items were?
Well, I don't know, but it didn't really say in the article.
Were they sensitive items?
Well, they could have been sensitive items. I mean, the argument is that when you are going to do viewings, the tenant needs to put all their private belongings, their watches and photos and all that type of stuff away. But actually, it's a lesson learned, because who knows, it could happen in the UK. You could have a tenant, you you think about all the adverts uploaded on the 3 big portals, So I raised it because I thought, you know what, it most probably happens all the time with all those listings.
Sure it does, but no one's ever actually gone litigious on it. But
you never know. So that's why I've raised it, because it was quite a unique story.
Paul, just quickly before we get on to our pièce de la résistance, which is the prize property Plum, and talking of privacy, I don't know if you saw Josh Rayner from Rayner Personnel has put out on the trade the trade publications in the last day or so that he's doing a root and branch benchmarking of salaries, which I think is a great idea. I mean, for the industry, for everybody, both companies and individuals, to know, what the average is in terms of what's the right level.
Who's giving that data? The actual agents or the employers?
Yeah. So the survey is for negotiators, branch managers, valuers, and so on to input, whether they work for a corporate or an independent, what their basic is, what their OT is. It's completely anonymous. So I think that builds up a nice bit of scale in terms of data. It'll be a really great benchmark. I suppose the question is, though, do you think some people might be a little bit hesitant, even though it's anonymous, and it really is, in terms of kind of putting in, 10 grand, 30k OTE, I work for a corporate and I'm in East Anglia.
Well, I think that if there's reassurance naturally is anonymous, which I'm sure it is, I should think most probably people want to see that data, and I think they would contribute. Obviously, bearing in mind, I'm sure it will vary different companies and obviously regional,
Yeah, so look, time will tell, I suppose, insofar as the results of the survey. But look, I hope that people do participate, because I don't think it's ever been done before, actually, that the industry, our industry, will be benchmarked in terms of, what good looks like, really, in terms of what. Yeah. So let's see. So I think that brings us with a nice bow on it, really, to the
prize property Plum of the week.
Prize property Plum of the week, and look,
who have you picked this week, Russell?
But I always try and make it someone different to whoever we've talked to in the episode. But I'm struggling for it to be anybody else other than Paul Smith from Spicerhaart, frankly. I think the way that this whole branch opening, not opening, summer opening debacle has been handled, and I don't quite know who advises Paul Smith and Spicerhaart on PR. It's definitely not me, that's for sure. Maybe it should be.
Was that a subtle plug, by the way?
Well, yeah, no. Look, Paul Smith wouldn't want me anywhere near his PR, although he needs someone near his PR, because look, what you don't do is go quiet, have a lot of speculation about the fact you haven't opened a load of your branches, have a load of people sitting in the background wondering what's going on, then issue a statement saying how gloriously successful the business is and actually it's going to expand, and then literally 24 hours later have to issue another statement saying, when I said expand, what I meant was close 28 branches. I mean, come on, but people are not stupid, Paul Smith. And as a consequence of you thinking that the industry is stupid, you are a worthy winner this week, my friend, of prize property Plum.
Okay, and I think that rounds up our 6th episode of Shamps and Quirky.
It does.
We didn't do one last week, did we? We were pretty busy and it just didn't happen. But generally, we try and do them every week, don't we, Russell?
Well, it's a bit like, trying to get the Dalai Lama and the Pope, to find an hour together in a diary. Look, we're both busy people. So,
and we need to thank also Ben Luca from Hamilton Fraser, who kindly does all the edit and has to hear our dulcet tones.
Yeah, he probably edits this kind of looking through his fingers like that. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
This is awful. But I did have, can I just say, and she won't mind me saying this, Louisa Fletcher from the Daily Express contacted me, as you know, last week and just said, do you know what? She said, I just watched your video with Paul Champlain, and she went, it's brilliant. I love it.
Oh, really? Oh, good. That's nice.
She thought it was very entertaining,
Yes.
particularly me slagging off the property market in Wales, or rather the lack of it. So look, we've actually got a viewer by the sounds of it, and one that thinks that this thing is actually quite good. So look, let's hope.
But you know what? Russell, we had an idea when we thought, you know what, it's just a little bit of fun, you know, and, you know, it's for people to look for. I mean, I know a few people that have contacted me say they look forward to getting it, you know, especially in our Landlord's Own newsletter, which we always put it in. You know, they
look forward to getting it in their inbox, so to speak. Anyway, let's leave it there.
Let's definitely leave it there, and have a lovely weekend. Keep safe, and I shall speak to you next week.
Yeah, and get your phone fixed.
I'll get my phone fixed.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.